Yes, we are back at it again. Let me tell you something. Welcome back to another episode of the Premium Pete Show. Before we get started, I want to thank everybody who's been sending emails, DMs, tweets. I mean, there is so much love for last week's episode, the Ronnie Feig episode, founder of Kith. Just a great journey to see. I mean, I know Ronnie so many years. It was just pure. It wasn't only just about sneaker collabs or just like what's hot. It's about creating. I feel like he was, to me, it's the most in-depth interview, conversation. I don't even want to call it interview. Like, I love doing conversations with Ronnie Feig. I mean, again, shouts worldwide. Honestly, it's been overwhelming of how many tweets, emails, DMs from people all over. And I love seeing that, and I love that we told the story. And Ronnie was happy, and I'm glad to see that. Internet, let me tell you something, okay? The amount of people checking in has been special too, man. And I guess, listen, this is like showing love. We might as well give people our roses, you know, and their roses while they're here. You know, some people want to don't be selfish. Internet, don't be selfish, okay? Spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. Internet, thank you for people all over worldwide checking in, man. I seen South Carolina. Again, always Detroit, okay? I seen Alaska, Tokyo. Man, Switzerland's always on it. Sydney, Australia, man. Man, I mean, I've seen so much Boston, man. Listen, okay? There's so much love, and I appreciate it. Internets, keep on telling a friend to tell a friend, okay? What the Premium Pete Show is doing is bringing people from all walks of life. This ain't no gossip show. This ain't no show that's trying to compete with another show. This is a show that is bringing people on and going over the journey, the full life journey, the ups, the downs, the sideways. You know, with people from all walks of life. Could be artists, could be athletes, could be entrepreneurs, whoever. It could own restaurants. You know, look, internet, I always say this, like, you want to be a producer, or you're a producer at a low level and struggling with it, take a listen, or if you know someone, send it to the Just Blaze episode, or maybe the Illmind, or maybe the D-Dot, or maybe the Pete Rock. I mean, maybe the Ted Smooth. You know, there is so many episodes that we did. Or what about entrepreneurship? Send them the Gary Vaynerchuk episode. Or send them the Rich Antonella episode, who is the founder of Complex Networks. I mean, who else? There's so many, man. I mean, look, just keep on telling a friend to tell a friend about the Premium Pete Show. Rate, subscribe. Yo, go, internet, do me a favor. Go on iTunes, okay? Rate, subscribe if you have. If you did, I appreciate you. Leave a comment, man. Leave a comment, man. Say something, okay? But you know what I always tell you, and I already said thanks to everybody checking in worldwide. Check the fuck in, okay? At Premium Pete. Right now, open your Twitter app, open your Instagram app, wherever you listen, and at the Premium Pete Show, at Premium Pete, check in. Let me know where you're checking in from. Let me know what city you're from. Let me know what city you're repping. Let me know what you're listening to. And listen, don't only listen to the latest episode, dig in that catalog, okay? The Premium Pete Show. Dig in that catalog, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, whatever. Let me tell you, before we get to the episode, I want to go over a tweet that I tweeted that I've been thinking. You know, I try to get these things off my mind and let people know that you're not alone, that you're not different if you're thinking a certain way, or if you're struggling, you're not failing. You know, I'm always saying that. And be blessed for what you have. You know, like, people sometimes complain too much. I learned, even myself, I realized that, you know, sometimes we complain too much. But meanwhile, there's somebody right now that has no legs, you know, and they're not complaining. I find like the people who have the worst, that you would think of, you know, the most struggles, complain the less. You know, it's like people with cancer, you know, just fighting it, man, and not complaining. We're over here complaining that, you know, that a video game is is sold out, or Fortnite, that we didn't win in Fortnite. Stop fucking around with Fortnite, okay? Even though I fuck with Fortnite, man. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but I do. Internets, this week I tweeted something out, and it was really heartfelt to me that I said, look, I check myself multiple times a day. The best connection you should have should be with yourself. Nobody is perfect, but each day living is another chance at being a better person. Okay? Internets, anybody who's going through the struggle this week, or whenever you're listening to this, understand this. I'm going to say it again. I check myself multiple times a day. The best connection you have should be with yourself. Nobody is perfect, but each day living is another chance at being a better person. Let me tell you, I don't care if you're an OG, you're young, middle-aged, whatever. Every day we could take a chance at being a better person. And that's not no corny shit. It's a fucking real shit. There's times where, I check myself. That's what I wrote. I check myself daily that maybe I didn't handle something right, or there's something I've been slacking on, procrastinating on. Particularly even our own dreams. We'll doubt ourselves and talk ourselves out of it. Let me tell you something. Don't do that. Keep pushing yourself to turn your dreams into reality, man. And if you want, hit me up, man. Email me, thepremiumpeachshow@gmail.com. Maybe I'll get on a call with you if you're going through something. Internets, we need to be there for each other. I know that shit sounds weird. Like if you're like, yo, I'm going to get on the phone with you, or I'm going to... Man, social media is amazing. Think about how many people... It's crazy. Social media is crazy, but it's amazing at the same time. Think about how many people you actually connected with or do things with. I know people who found business partners through, and they connected through Twitter. I know people that have got married of people they met through Twitter. I know people that came together and done so many things. And internets, keep on doing that. Just believe in yourself. Even me, every day, there's times I doubt myself. That's what happens. But surround yourself with people who you could talk to and who could believe in you and understand that one day ain't the same as the other. There's better days ahead. Let me tell you, this week's episode, I'm so excited to get to another entrepreneur journey. I can't wait for you to hear this one, another entrepreneur journey with the co-founder of Venmo, plus many other things. This is a super entrepreneur, my man Iqram, okay? I don't know how to pronounce his whole name yet, but I will, okay? He's an official dude. I connected with him. I mean, we're going to take down a journey of what it was like, creating Venmo, the struggles, the successes, and how he goes about in his life and being the entrepreneur that he is. Internets, I present to you, okay, the co-founder of Venmo, Iqram, on this week's episode of the Premium Pete Show. Let's get to it. Cheer.
Come on, everybody get set, let's go. It's the next episode. It's the Premium Pete Show. News, interviews, all of the info. Listen up, it's the Premium Pete Show. If you want the scoop in the low, down low, listen to the show, cause Milk said so. Fuck what you heard, better act like you know. It's the Premium Pete
Internets,
Show.
welcome back to another episode of the Premium Pete Show. Sitting here with my newly friend, okay? He's a good fella. He's a friend of mine. I say that for people that I really mess with and that I admire and I believe in. Super entrepreneur, like I said, founder of many things, particularly co-founder of Venmo and a bunch of other projects. I welcome to the Premium Pete Show my guy, Iqram. Iqram, what's up, buddy? We made it happen.
Thank you for having me.
Listen,
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. And we're going to start right off the bat. Iqram, young boy, where'd you even grow up?
I grew up in Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe?
Yeah. I was
Mom
born
and
there.
Dad together?
Mom and Dad. Yeah,
What did Mom do?
Mom was a secretary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly what she did all the time, but besides taking care of me, but she was a secretary at a university for a short period of time. And then, yeah, I think that's what she did.
And Pops?
Pops, I think he was an urban planner. It was, it was kind of nebulous growing up, and we didn't really talk about it. I don't know. It wasn't top of mind for us.
Mm. Now, when you say, growing up where you grew up, what was the environment like? How long did you stay there?
I was in Zimbabwe for 7 years, and then after Zimbabwe, I moved to Zambia. And then after Zambia, I moved to Uganda. And when I was...
Why'd you move so much? If you don't mind me asking.
I think my parents were just trying to figure out what to do with life, honestly. My dad, I feel like he had like an entrepreneurial spirit, but was always trying to get something off the ground. And I don't know, he was just going from job to job, just trying to make ends meet. And my mom sort of followed him around. And then she had, I would say, the more stable jobs from time to time. So the secretary. And my dad did a lot of urban planning, and then eventually he got a job in Uganda as a consultant, like contractor with the World Bank, and we ended up there. And then I moved here with my mom when I was 13 to Virginia, here being America. Okay.
And out of all the places you went, Zimbabwe, Uganda, where else did you say?
Zambia.
What's some of the memories that you remember from that stuck out to you, that still stick out to you to this day?
I mean, the spirit of the people is the biggest one. Everyone has over there just a wonderful outlook on life, I would say, and very welcoming, musical. I learned a lot about music all over Africa.
Which you still do to this day, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, and very community-oriented. People were, I would say, when I moved here, one of the things I noticed was people were more independent, which is also cool, but there was a lot more sharing going on in where I grew up, and sharing stories, sharing food, sharing, songs, things like that. And yeah, the spirit was just incredible.
You spoke about your father kind of being like an early on entrepreneur, probably before that word even existed. Like he didn't,
Right, exactly.
Did you in your nationality and where you grew up, did you have like a tight knit relationship with Dad? Like were there like hugs and kisses and
From time to time, it oscillated between lots of hugs and kisses and me being terrified of him. When he wanted to drill something home, I guess.
Sure.
So I think that's how we operated. And one of the things that's interesting is I think my parents gave me a lot of freedom to kind of explore things on my own growing up. No one was really telling me you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. Probably because they didn't know what to do. But as a natural side effect, I was able to just kind of find my own way. Of course, they had a few things that they wanted me to be good at, like you got to get good grades. But who doesn't say that?
Yeah, I know. Right? It's like it's like a normal just
like to be good in math because my dad comes from a Sri Lankan background and he grew up in Sri Lanka with my mom before they moved to Zimbabwe where I was born, and the sciences and things like that, just little schooling things, and that's kind of how it was. So you moved to the United States, Richmond, Virginia? I moved to Fairfax County, Virginia.
Okay,
so
13 years old.
Northern Virginia. Yeah, 13.
So you're 13 years old. I mean, what was the thought did you even know what you wanted to do or become, or?
Oh, I had no idea really. But I did know I liked to play around and have a good time and, just hang out.
Just staying outside?
Yes, staying outside. I played a lot of sports, actually. I would play basketball.
Really?
When I got into basketball when I moved here. I played tennis growing up, so yeah, I'd be outdoors basically from the time school let out to 10 o'clock in the summers.
So, but there had to be something like in your teenage years that you knew that you wanted to become, or you knew that you wanted to do. Like, maybe how sometimes people want to be like a fireman or an astronaut, like just crazy things, or even, is there something that you knew that you wanted to do?
One of the things that I knew that I wanted was to be able to control my destiny. So I think out of that came a natural inclination towards doing my own thing. So even I didn't have any like career path in mind. I didn't want to be a fireman or an astronaut. None of that. I didn't sort of have those aspirations. I don't know why, but I think partly because I was trying to assimilate to a new culture. So I didn't really have time to think about that stuff. And I know a lot of kids grow up here and, some of the questions they get asked early on are, who do you idolize and who do you want to become when you grow up? But those questions weren't really asked of me when I was little. And when I got here, I didn't have time to think about it. So
sure.
I did know, though, I wanted to just do my own thing. And then, as you grow up, you start seeing that money plays a role in life in adulthood. Or once you pass a certain age and you have to eventually make your own money. And I was like, I knew that would have to happen because my parents would talk about it too. So I feel like one decision I made at a very young age was, if I'm making my own money, I want to do my own thing because that way I could go to sleep when I want to sleep. I could wake up when I want to wake up. If I need to take a nap, I can take a nap. And I just started like doing my own thing. So the first thing I did to make money was give tennis lessons.
Really? So you're good at tennis?
I'm okay. I mean,
good enough to give lessons?
Yeah, I mean, most coaches aren't great players, but good at pointing out things.
Sure.
So I would, and observing, I guess. So I gave tennis lessons. I remember I was like 12, 13. I was giving lessons to 60-year-olds and 25-year-olds, sometimes kids. And what was cool about that is I got to meet all these people. Because it wasn't as if I felt like I was gaining too, because when you're giving tennis lessons to a 6-year-old, they're telling their life story too, and you're learning from that. So, I always felt like doing my own thing was going to be a part of my life, and that kind of guided me throughout my journey. And ultimately, I think when there was more pressure to kind of really sustain myself by myself. So thank you to my parents and everyone that brought me to where I was before I kind of took over myself, I guess. That's when I started exploring like what another job could look like besides working for myself. And frankly, I don't think anyone wanted to hire me.
Why do you think that?
Because I just couldn't connect. I think they saw that I was faking it. If I go into an interview, it's like, this guy doesn't want to be here. I mean, some people do a good job of that, but I just couldn't. I wouldn't show up to work probably. And I think I had a law job. I was doing an IT support thing at the law school. The tech guy running around fixing computers, things like that.
Did you like tech?
Did I like tech? I was indifferent about it, but I did know that tech enabled you to do things and allowed you more freedom over time if you understood it. So, yeah, I got into it. But yeah, I remember doing this law school gig. I think it was paying me $12 an hour, enough to make my rent. And one day I was just like, I'm done, and I stopped showing up. And that was it. And no one asked me.
What'd you do?
I just went.
Did they call you?
I became a bartender. They didn't call me. I don't think they needed me. They probably knew. I did go back like a month later saying, hey, anything for me to do? And they're like, what are you talking about? I remember that. But yeah, it's just like if...
Yeah, you're crazy, man. You just showed up one day in a bow tie and a fucking vest. You're like, yeah, I'm here. You need any help?
Yeah. And I'm like... Well,
they're like, yeah, get out of here, man.
Exactly.
So you said you went to become a bartender?
Yeah, then I did a bartending gig because my rent was $200 a month, so I needed to make $200 a month in Philadelphia, and which is not that hard to make actually. If you do a couple shifts, and then the good thing about being a bartender is everything's for free.
Yeah,
while you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean
a lot of hangovers too for free. But
how did you not get stuck? I asked this. We had an early episode. One of my friends who owns Sweet Chick. And I said, he was a bartender. And I said, sometimes bartenders get stuck. Like, any job sometimes, you can see a bartender at this bar for 25 years, How did you not get stuck as being a bartender? Did you want more?
Eventually I got bored with that too. It's just, I kept forgetting the orders.
Yeah.
Like literally, you were saying, give me a vodka tonic. I'd turn around and come back like, what was that again? And I'd turn around, vodka tonic, turn around. Shit. Sorry, and then it just you realize it's like this is not what I want to do.
Do you think that, not to cut you off, but do you think that was because you weren't loving what you were doing? Like you didn't find any joy?
Yeah, and it was a lot of labor, and I felt like there were more efficient ways to spend time. So I picked up coding in college and after it. And
what college you went to?
I went to UPenn, University of Pennsylvania.
Okay. Was that hard to get into for you, or it was simple?
I don't really remember, to be honest. I think it was just a fortuitous thing.
So you're in Penn?
Yeah, and
pick up coding.
Picked up coding, and after I graduated, I was like, okay, maybe I'll go. Me and a buddy, the guy that I ended up starting Venmo with.
What's his name?
Andrew Kortina. We were like, all right, no one's going to hire us after school. So we started making websites for restaurants. And that's way easier than bartending. And you get paid the same amount, $200 a pop for a website. And, it was kind of like you could just do that in bed. You wake up, put your laptop on your body and start coding, and you're making a website. And then you have 1 or 2 meetings every 2 weeks with the owner of a restaurant. They gave you $200, move on to the next one. And it's like bartending, you got to take all these orders. You got bam, bam, bam. It just it's labor intensive. So, and that's kind of how I got my first taste of engineering and coding and building something. And another thing that was always appealing to me was things that would kind of scale. So you can make one website that lots of people use, but, the website only takes like 3 months to make.
Sure.
And those, once those things start to click, you start realizing that, man, this is an efficient way to make ends meet. And then over time, it kind of becomes an addiction because you realize you can wake up, go to your kitchen counter, make a coffee, start writing some code, and then people from all over the world start hitting your website or whatever, and you're like, wow, I'm connecting with all these people, and I'm not even leaving my apartment. And then you're like, well, I just want to do this all day. It's kind of probably how people feel when they play games. They just like wake up, play games, go to sleep.
Sure.
And, you're lost in this world. So that's kind of what it felt like. And it's kind of how I got going.
Were you good at coding?
I would say I'm good enough to get by. It's like, I wouldn't say fluent, but kind of good enough to get the first version done. But eventually, if things were to get, to scale,
Sure.
I'd have to hand it off to an expert.
Obviously one of your big creations is Venmo, right? But what was before that people may not even know of? Like, I'm sure you tried a couple of things before you got there.
Absolutely. So the first was this restaurant. We our ambition was to make restaurants for websites, and then eventually make this thing that would allow any restaurant creator to come and, spin up a restaurant website, and then they would pay us monthly for storage and things like that. If I had to pick an analogy to what that was like today, it would be like Squarespace or WordPress or something like that. But for some reason we fell short on delivering. It takes a lot of energy and drive to go from an idea to prototype to actual company with lots of usage. And getting from idea to prototype is not the hard part. It's actually getting from that prototype to the first version and then marketing it and getting people to use it. And that takes a lot of energy. And when we were, I think, 21, we did it for like 3 months and we weren't satisfied with the amount of people that were using it. So we just kind of moved on to another project. And then I did. The Kortina and I, we also made a website for musicians called Philafunk. Philafunk Music. And the idea behind that was anyone could upload their music and people could buy it. And we would take like a small fee, 10%, which at the time was way better than whatever else was comparable. Sure. It was at a time when it was hard for musicians to sell their music. We did that. Learned a lot about, I would say, guerrilla marketing. I remember going to a bunch of music festivals, handing out flyers and saying, check out Philafunk. This is the way to sell your music. And eventually, similar thing happened with that. We were just like, this is not growing at the pace that we want it to. And if I look back at that, I would say now, knowing what I know now, we were actually in a pretty good place for both those companies. We just fell short on things I learned after making Venmo.
Is it timing? Like, how much do you believe that timing is everything? I'm sure patience too, no?
I think timing and patience and also motivation. You have to be motivated to continue to work on it. And, as with lots of entrepreneurs and people that are constantly have ideas, like as soon as another idea pops into your head, you jump to that one, and that could become more exciting. I remember I made a website called Philadelphia Sheriff Sales, which is how I learned how to collect credit cards actually as a payment mechanism. And the idea behind that was it scraped all of the real estate properties in Philadelphia. So you could find a good deal on a house, things that were foreclosed or in, places that you hadn't paid your taxes on, people hadn't paid their taxes on, and they were being sold at auctions. Yeah. So I was like, man, maybe I'll buy some land or something with this. So I made this thing. Then we made a subscription service that was, that subscribed, that we had 100 subscribers a month, I think. That was paying us like $2,000 a month.
Nice.
Which is actually how we got our first office for Venmo, through the Delancey Corporation. And if you look at the Venmo app today, it's still owned by the Delancey Corporation, which was actually the company that we made, me and Kortina, back in the day as a holding company for all our ideas. Philadelphia Sheriff Sales was one of the ideas.
But those were your companies, no? That you created?
Companies, and I would say one or two people companies. Never got beyond that. Interns once in a while that helped us out. But in parallel to a lot of those things, I also worked at startups to kind of
to what, gain knowledge,
to get experience and learn about what it would take to go from a small idea to an actual company that lives the test of time enough to get to the point where now you have users, and it becomes a brand that people know about, etc. And the first company I worked for was I'm in Like With You. It was like a 5-person startup. Then I moved back to Philadelphia, worked at this company called Ticket Leap. So I had been around the block before Venmo started, or the tech block, I would say.
How hard is that, especially for somebody who is like a creative, but you're also doing you're doing almost everything, you and your partner, like, you're pushing it, you're creating it, you're working on it, you're trying to market it, you're taking the meetings for it, like, and I'm sure some of those things you probably weren't as good at or didn't like. How hard is that to do? Because an entrepreneur, you think about it, you got to hustle
to do everything. Yeah.
How was that a struggle, or you just learned to do everything on the go and dealt with it?
It was when you're. See, I would say this: I grew up in an environment where it was never easy to get something. I don't know why. I think partly because, but I just became accustomed to that. So when we were having these meetings with people and whatever, and people are telling us no, yes on certain things, etc., I'd handle it with ease, and I found it fun. For me, I still view my life this way. I'm always practicing for something. I don't know what it's going to be. Probably my death. But I always feel like I'm practicing for something, and I love to practice. So me sitting here at this podcast with you, in some ways, is me practicing telling my story and refining that. Like me playing a show at Tajin, that's practice for me. And there's nothing more satisfying than you seeing yourself become more confident in what you're doing over time. And it's never led to me thinking I know how to do anything, really. It's actually leading me to believe that I just need to keep practicing. And that's how I viewed it. That's how I viewed life. That's basically how I viewed my life.
Sure. So you got a couple of startup companies. You're gaining super knowledge working with a bunch of startup companies. You're actually making some money with some of the subscription service. Where is Venmo next? Like where does this even, like, where does the thought even come from? Yeah,
well, it actually came from me and Kortina wanting to work together again. So we were freshman year roommates. That's how we met. Thank you, Penn, for that. That was a complete, it's like putting salt and pepper together in one room. Polar opposites with the perfect complements. We graduate, and we're doing a bunch of things together. Bam, 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 bam. Then it's like one thing leads to the next. I want to go back to Philadelphia. He wants to stay in New York, so he joined something. I came to something in Philadelphia. Probably love interest. And it always is. You'll go wherever.
That's it, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Especially at a young age, man. You're running.
Yeah,
you're running.
It's like, what? You moving to Seattle?
Yeah, I'll be there in the morning. I'll tell you one thing, man.
But that's the best feeling in the world.
The beginning feeling is such a special thing.
It's the
man.
best. It's nothing you can never. If I could recreate that every day, I would.
Sure.
So I moved back to Philadelphia, and then 2 years go by, or a year and a half go by, and what I realized was and I think what Kortina realized, it's like what we enjoyed most about working together after school was just the friendship, just hanging out. Going to the bar afterwards and just talking about what you're working on when you wake up the next day. And you have this relationship that's driven by a friendship. And you're like, okay. And then I remember I joined Ticket Leap and he joined something. And it probably felt for both of us a little like, okay, this is cool. We're making money now that we know how to code and things like that. But it wasn't the type of situation where you've known someone for 10 years. And if that guy needs to take 2 days off, it's cool. And so I would always feel uncomfortable completely being myself in any other situation. Whereas I feel like when Kortina and I, when two roommates end up working together on a company, you almost treat it as two roommates just hanging out, working on a school project or something like that. And just Venmo happened to be one of those projects that, became bigger than we thought it would, really. And so I think we craved that friendship and that the thought of working with a friendship, and hanging out and getting back to those days that were fun and all about 24/7 being on. And that's how it started. Like, yo, let's just do something. Whatever. Let's just if we can make money elsewhere, why can't we make money together? Maybe kind of thing. So let's get together. And then I think that was the impetus for how we came up with, a series of brainstorming sessions that eventually led to like what Venmo would become.
Now, Venmo, what does that even mean? What does Venmo mean?
Venmo is a combination of vendor mobile.
Now, was there any other names beforehand that didn't make it?
That's the first time I've heard that one. Let me think. I don't think so. I wish I could have that chat conversation. We came up with the name. Kortina actually eventually landed on Venmo, and I just yelled out of joy. That's the one, and it was also $8.99 on GoDaddy. But isn't that crazy? I know people that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. Facebook probably spend like $2 million, or they've spent a shit ton on that thing. Yeah, we got ours for free. It's funny. Someone's asking me for $800,000 to buy ENSE.com. I'm like, nah, ENSE.NYC, yo.
Yeah.
But
that's your new project. We'll get to that.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking,
of course, yeah.
But yeah, we were just chatting ideas. If I could go back to that chat, there were other ideas. But when Venmo came out, it was like, that's the one.
Now, how does somebody what about a logo? Like, was that something that took 100 years to do?
That went through like 5 iterations. I made the first one. It was multicolored.
Well, you know how to graphic design too.
A little. I mean, no, not really. You just do what it takes.
You're a humble fucking guy, man. You're a jack of all trades, man. But you want to be the ace of spades.
Yeah, you brought that up.
Understand?
It's funny. I just asked someone. I asked Uncle Jeff that on ENSE.
Yeah.
Should I be the jack of trades or the ace of spades? He said, be the ace of spades.
Shout out to our friend Carly. But
Carly, yeah, for sure.
But more importantly, she had made a point, Internets, that do you want to be the jack of all trades or the ace of spades at something? I'll tell you the truth, I think in business, you want to be maybe an ace of spade or maybe a jack of all trades. Many people want to be different things, but I think that, we all, I consider myself a jack of all trades, but at the end of the day, you want to be an ace of spade in something. So,
right.
But anyway, listen.
That's tough.
You're a fucking humble guy, Iqram. You're humble. So you designed the first iteration.
The first logo, yeah, it was multicolored. It had it. I borrowed from Google and Toys R Us.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, Toys R Us. Good thing we changed it to a monotone logo. But yeah, Toys R Us had the same combination of colors that Google had and eBay. And I was like, okay, these people must have done $1 billion worth of research on this. I'm just gonna borrow the color scheme and then make our own version of it, because they probably figured out that a multicolored logo is what gets lots of users or something like that, or is a brand that's friendly. So that's how the first version came out. You could Google it, you'll see it had a little curvaceous E, which was a little tipped over, and then 2 years into it, or maybe a year into it, we hired a real professional ace of spade designer who came in and really nailed the logo, and the logo has been the same since.
And so at that time, did you have multiple employees or just you and your partner?
Initially, just me and Kortina, yeah. And then it slowly grew one by one, and you start hitting up everybody, like your friend from high school, your second roommate, all these people. A lot of people ask me, I hear this a lot, don't work with your friends, don't mix business and pleasure. I feel the opposite way. I think.
Why?
I think working with friends is the greatest. I think you have to be friends first before building anything, because that's how you really, really extract the nuances of something special. And generally, from what I've experienced, if I look at Venmo today, I can still see the combination of me and Kortina in that product, and it's a friendship that turned into a company out of a basic need.
You think about it. You're onto something now. You create the logo. $8.99 for the GoDaddy. It's crazy that a multi-million-dollar company was started with $8.99 just as a logo. I mean, a web link. But more importantly, when did you think that Venmo, like you had something, like you would make it? Because keep in mind, for those who may not know about Venmo, or I'm sure they do, but for those who may not know the history of what happened, you eventually sold Venmo. In what year? Like, was it years that you ran and operated it before it sold?
2012 or something, or 15, somewhere 2000. Wait, it's 2000 now. Okay, all right. It started we sold it like 2004, 15.
Okay, and you started?
That I know started 2009.
Okay.
And yeah, I feel like Venmo has a long way to go, actually. But I will say, it is interesting to be around a group of people that I don't know, and for them to have heard about it or use it or things like that. I guess that's a sign of, like, these are things that we imagined early on that are starting to happen now. And I would say this is after I left, when I started to really see people using it around me, and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Because we had talked about that, like, there's going to be a day where you'll feel the comfort of knowing that someone next to you that's a stranger accepts Venmo, so you don't have to worry about the financial hassle.
Sure. You told me when we had lunch, you told me that in the beginning you were hustling Venmo. You would go into, like, restaurants or coffee shops and tell people, like, hey, you would...
I would pick up the tab.
Okay, yeah, tell me.
I would. There were times when one of my favorite Chinese... Actually, I got to give a shout out to Square on Square in Philadelphia.
Okay, nice.
Still one of my favorite Chinese restaurants. I've never walked into a restaurant and talked to a restaurant owner and had the level of support he gave me. I said, hey, I'm working on this new thing. It's a way to collect payments. Would you be interested? He said yes, and he signed up that day. He took a full $200 bill from me. I paid him with Venmo, and all I needed was his phone number, and he took the whole thing. And I didn't even know the guy, and I was like, man, this is the type of trust the world needs. And I gotta go. We gotta go. We should all go there one day. We should,
sure.
We should have a party at that restaurant in Philadelphia, Square on Square. And I hope he's still there. And if he's there and he sees us, and he said to me, I remember he said, one day this thing, man, you keep doing it. I'm telling you, I like it. I like the energy. I like what you're doing, da-da-da. And, I haven't seen him for about 3 years now. Yeah. But Square on Square was a restaurant that accepted Venmo. And then, I would tell people at the restaurant, like, these guys accept Venmo, like, check it out.
What do you mean? You would just walk in and ask them, like
yeah.
What would you say to them?
I said, I'm working on... So what I would do sometimes is if I'm at dinner with a group of friends, I'd tell the waiter, hey, put that bill on me. And say it's on this nice guy over here. And, you could walk away from the bill, or just give me 2 minutes of your time. And I just want to tell you about why I paid for this meal. And so the waiter would do that. And thankfully, every single time I did that, someone came over and said, yo, what's up, man? Why are you buying 6 people dinner? And putting it on a credit card. Yeah. Thanks, Visa, man. And I would say, hey, look, here's why. I'm working on this thing. We use it all the time. It's a way to send money to... This is one of the common use cases of Venmo today, paying each other back for the bill. And I want to let you know about 2 things. First, if all of y'all are at a restaurant and it's 6 people at the table and you all throw your credit cards down, you're annoying the waiter.
Sure.
So why don't you try this thing called Venmo that me and my friends use? And we made it. It's kind of cool. It's an easy way for you to pay each other back. And, otherwise, it's cool. The rest, this meal's on me, but just remember Venmo the next time. And then I was like, on top of that, every time the restaurant owner swipes the card, there's a small fee associated with that. So if you just put one credit card down, there's so much to gain. One, you get the credit card points if you have them. If everyone pays you back, it's easy for everybody involved. It's much easier to determine who owes what, and the restaurant, the person paying for the waiter doesn't have to decide how to split the bill up. And you're trying this new service, and it's going to change your life because you're going to use it for rent. You're going to use it to pay your roommate back for coffee. Your mom is going to send you Venmo someday. Like, sure, I would tell this story.
And let me ask you, would they look at you like you were crazy, or they believed in you?
Well, then I'd leave it off with, so as a final step, would you be willing to Venmo me? for the meal that I just paid for, and I'll give you a discount. So, or sometimes I'd say just Venmo me to try it out. That was harder because, get people to sign up and put their credit card in, da-da-da, do that whole
They probably
thing.
thought you were like doing
They
some
thought I was
scam
like
shit.
skip. So I was like, look, it's cool. I'm cool. The dinner's on me. But every now and then, 2 or 3 people would pay me back with Venmo, the early adopters. And, hey, I would watch the logs. I would see, like, once in a while, and then, like, weeks would go by, and I'm like, holy shit, this person from, there's Thai Singha. Man, just use Venmo with his friend. Holy shit. So I'm like, wow, that must have worked. And then, lo and behold, these little early tactics, start to make a difference over time. And even today, I'm still getting notifications from Venmo saying, like, Joe Schmo, bing-a-bang, whatever, from back in the day, join Venmo with your invite. And sometimes I can't even remember the person.
That's classic. What's the most you ever seen transferred through Venmo?
Probably $100,000, but that's because, actually, I remember one of our that's, because we internally had limits back in the day that we would set. So just for fun, once in a while, we'd just be like, yo, let's move $100,000 just to see if it works, things like that. But I do remember one of our investors sent us an email once saying, hey, can you raise my limit from 3K to like 10K? And the reason he did that was because he was sending one of his buddies. Now, these investors in Silicon Valley, five grand for like some box seats. Mm-hmm. So he sent the guy $5,000 on Venmo. So that was up there.
You get into a point where you're running the app, you're really hustling it. Literally, you're going like person to person. Like, it's very humbling to even do that. Was there any points in time where, like, you got frustrated or you felt like maybe this app wasn't going to work? Like, or maybe this project wasn't going to work? Or maybe even, did you ever feel like fucking frustrated where you wanted to quit, what you were doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a time when the whole team, we were a team of 5, we were all in a room thinking about taking the $250,000 we had raised and turning it into a different company because we didn't feel like Venmo was being used enough. And I remember the day we had that meeting was the day one of my roommate Andrew Staub, started at Venmo, and he loved Venmo. His first day, he's in a meeting with 4 other people saying we're going to shut Venmo down and start a new company, and anything was on the table: starting an ebook company, starting a way to share your vacuum with your neighbors, and share your whatever, your household items, and maybe like a restaurant point of sale system. Like, we seriously contemplated giving Venmo up completely and starting something different because we were like, look, we don't want to run out of this $250K with 25,000 users.
Sure.
So we're like, what do we do? Maybe we could do something. And this is a time when you see Twitter and Facebook erupting, and you're like, man, why do we only have like 1,000 users? This is crazy. But I will say, now that I look back at that, I cherish those first 1,000 users. It's like, that's what I live for now. It's like, once you get to that point, it's like, wow, it's amazing. Whereas back then we were like, this is nothing. So that was one moment.
How eventually did you get more users? Like, when do you think the cracking point was?
Man, for Venmo, it was just always slow and steady growth. We did have a referral program, which I thought was pretty influential in at least those early invites that went out. So we were giving $1 away for every friend that you brought onto Venmo, and that's kind of how it got started.
Was Gary Vaynerchuk an early investor?
He was, yeah, Gary V.
How did that happen?
That happened, I don't remember exactly how we met him. Probably through a series of best friending. You remember that from Carly?
Yes,
best friending.
Yes, best friending, yes.
We call it best friending, not networking. So I think, one friend was leading to the next, and Gary became our best friend overnight. And I remember going to his house and pitching him Venmo, and he's like, all right, I'm in. And then I think he asked to invest more, or he wanted more equity or something. But yeah, he ended up making a small investment into Venmo back in the day. And his brother, AJ Vaynerchuk, was very, very influential in helping us crystallize a lot of the product. So thanks, AJ.
Really?
Yeah.
Shouts to AJ. Shouts to Gary. Good people. What about Zuckerberg?
Zuckerberg?
Yeah.
No.
You met Zuckerberg?
I have met Zuckerberg, yeah. He's cool. I know he's under a lot of pressure right now, but yeah, I met him. I do remember a moment when he thought Venmo was a. I take this somewhat grudgingly, because when I did meet him, he was like, "What's this Venmo thing? And do you think anyone's really going to use this thing?" In that kind of tone, a tone of, look, I like this experiment, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Actually, I remember being silent throughout that meeting. I said a few words, but yeah, I met him. He's cool. He's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. You know, let's take a quick break. We're going over the journey of my friend Iqram, the one and only co-founder of Venmo, founder of ENSE, musician, entrepreneur. What else? What's some of your other hobbies? You an artist? You do paint? You play the flute? Come on.
I have one painting for sale. If you want it, let me know.
Okay, I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
Internet, we're sitting here with a good mind, a good person, a good friend of mine. And we'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. And listen, check out Venmo, okay? If you never heard of it, if you never download it, check it out, man. We'll be right back. And ENSE. ENSE. But we'll get to that soon. We'll get to that as soon as we come back from the break. We'll be right back. Cheer.
What's up, everybody? It's Gary Vaynerchuk, a.k.a. Gary V, and you're locked into the Premium Pete Show.
Internets, and we're back sitting here with my guy Iqram, co-founder of Venmo, founder of ENSE. Man, just an entrepreneur, a great mind. I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm enjoying the journey. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Listen, let's get back to where we were. Venmo's moving. You know, you got a couple of people in on it. It's, Gary as an early investor. You know, you actually, guys were at a point in time where you're thinking of actually even just changing the company name. You know, it was slow and steady growth.
Not the company name. We were changing that too, but we were changing the entire company into a different direction, pivoting. But we probably would have changed the name too.
But what? No. Well, of course. Think about it. But let me ask you,
what would you have called Venmo if you could change the name? If you could have named Venmo, what would it be?
It's a great question.
Bucks. Probably not.
I would probably call it. I mean, there's a bunch of things I would have probably could. You could call it. You could call it. Like I do like the Cash App that they call Cash.
Okay.
You know, and I like that. I like that name.
Cash.
I do like. I don't know. Maybe I would call. When I was young, I used to call like hundreds or a certain thing like Fozzie Bears.
Fozzie Bears.
Yeah, I was like,
Fozzie.
Give me a couple of them fresh Fozzie Bears, I mean, I don't know.
I like that.
It's a great question. I don't know if I can answer that. I would have to sleep on it, man. Maybe drink a bottle of red wine first and then come up with the name. I don't know. I mean,
Tulip.
Pay me.
Pay me. Pay me back.
Scratch.
Scratch is cool.
Yeah.
I like Scratch.
Cheddar. I mean, I don't know. Who knows, man? Who knows? But listen. So
what about grass?
I like grass, but I would probably think that I'm getting some plants or some weed if I have that app.
Right.
Now, you guys don't give up. You keep on going.
Keep going. Yeah.
Somebody reaches out, or how does it even how does it even get to the talks of possibly even someone buying Venmo?
Yeah. Well, we got to a point where the product was doing pretty well, but our costs were exceeding exponentially the cost of running the operation. So we were spending millions of dollars trying to run Venmo early on. And
did you have investors?
We had investors.
Oh, you had Gary, but did you
Gary,
have...
we'd raised $5 million about by the time we sold. And we spent $5 million in like 8 months. Because the volume, the transaction volume in Venmo was growing so quickly, and we were giving away credit card transactions for free. And as a result, the cost of running Venmo was exorbitant. So all that cash we raised was being spent on transaction fees. And it came to this point where we go back to our investors and say, hey, we need to raise more money, or we need to come up with a plan, because currently we run out of money in like about a month. I think it was about in a month.
Holy shit.
And that was, I would say, a more stressful conversation, even though that's when I really dug deep into my roots of just the spirit of life and like not letting anything really get to you. But yeah, I remember being in that board meeting saying, hey, we got to figure something out, otherwise Venmo is no more. And I think we had $500,000 left, and that $500,000 would have evaporated in about a month and a half. We had our bank, Wells Fargo, calling me, our investors, almost every other day saying, hey, this is a giant risk to us. We're going to have to shut Venmo down. And if Wells Fargo shut Venmo down, that means Venmo's gone, because we used their entire infrastructure. Mad props to Wells Fargo. Tina Sadeghi, John Huber, Patrice Motz, 3 people that really changed Venmo's life, among some others. But those were 3 that I would work with very closely. And they were calling us, and I was like, man, I remember I was in Philadelphia moving out of an apartment. Wrapping up the old Venmo office, all these things going on. And no one wanted to invest, not even our existing investors. They were like, look, we like the idea of Venmo, but we just don't think it's going to work if this is the cost structure. And we knew we had to fix it, so we fixed it. But by the time we fixed it, it was too late. We couldn't look back. Like, no one was willing to invest further. So now we got to figure out what to do. I remember being in a team meeting, everyone sitting in front of me, and I'm the one delivering the message. I'm like, look, I don't think Venmo's going to make it. We're not going to be able to make payroll in 2 weeks, so you guys and girls should start looking for a new job. And that was a pretty somber discussion. And in parallel to those types of meetings with the team, sorry, it's allergy season.
It's all good. It's all good.
So during that period, I remember exploring everything. MasterCard. We talked to MasterCard. Hey, do you want to buy us?
And what did they say?
They said possibly, but that would take like a year.
Okay.
The diligence for them to be able to do that. And so we were doing that. We looked at them. Facebook. This is after we met Zuckerberg. Flew their team out to possibly acquire us. They thought we were a bunch of lunatics.
Why? In what sense?
I mean, we were all, everyone's first job. Oh, thank you. Didn't really know what was going on, but we knew Venmo was great. We all had the energy, but like it was like they looked at us. They're like, I don't even know what y'all are doing. Like, okay, you're not in a position to be acquired. Let's just put it that way. I remember I was in the interview, and the guy asked me like some computer science question, like, can you solve this puzzle? I'm like, are you crazy, man? You want me to solve a puzzle right now? Like, he's like looking at, literally, it's like you and me sitting in the room, and he goes like, do this. And I was like, what? And he's like, draw an array. I'm like, but what are you asking me right now?
What did that have to do with anything?
He wanted to see if I was a wizard. I was like, that's not how you're going to determine whether I'm a wizard or not. And I can't answer these questions right now. I'm in the middle of shutting Venmo down. And you're asking me what 5 times 5 is.
But because you guys were in a jam.
Yeah. Yeah, we were in a jam, so we were exploring everything.
But what I'm saying, because you guys were in a jam, were people trying to take advantage of you?
Yeah, of course. Well, Facebook thought they would have a huge opportunity. So that didn't pan out. And I think they sent some of our employees job offers after that. Tisk, motherfuckers. And then... because they're like, well, we don't need to buy them. We'll just hire their engineers. They're going out of business anyway. It's like we had a going out of business sign on our window. And then we ended up meeting this guy, Bill Reddy, from who was a mutual friend through one of our investors. And Bill Reddy, me, Kortina, and Vaughn, we kind of hit it off. And I'll tell you what, I've never seen something turn around overnight like that, which gives me hope for the future of everybody, which is, out of hundreds of different people we'd met throughout this whole process, everyone's like looking at Venmo like it's the craziest shit that's ever existed, and like no one understands how we got to where we were in the first place. Bill Reddy sees it and is like, this is a pot of gold. I love what you're doing. I love it. I want to be a part of this. And I remember we flew to Chicago, and we were in a conference room, and we just one thing we're vibing. We just like it's like when you know how they say the greatest hits happen in 2 minutes. The songs like they just on the first take. That was that meeting. Everything else, MasterCard, Facebook, it was like I was dragging my feet across the hallway to even get them to understand what my name was. Whereas with Bill Reddy, it's just bam, one thing leads to the next, boom. And I'm like, wow, this guy, we're like vibing. We're building off of each other. And we just met for the past 10 minutes. We just met, we've known each other in person for 10 minutes. And in that one meeting, Bill goes, well, why don't, instead of doing a partnership or something, why don't we just buy you or we'll acquire you? And I was the point on this conversation. So I was like, all right, let's do it. Zimbabwe style. I was like, I'm from Zimbabwe, baby. Let's do this. Yeah. And, it's like you go. Yeah. And that was that. Bill's like, so how much? And I think I tossed a number out, 26 million, something like that. And he was like, deal. I was like, great. And everyone else, so it's me and Bill talking.
Kortina, your partner Kortina, did he look at you like,
he
what
trusted
are you doing?
me. Kind of. He's like, well, everyone was like, it moved so fast. That this meeting moved so fast. There were like 8 people in this conference room, and Bill and I it's literally the way we're sitting across from each other. But it's good vibes all around. And then we agreed on something, left the conference room, got in the elevator. I remember Mike Vaughn looked at me. He goes, did we just sell Venmo? And I was like, yeah. And then that was it. I remember, and I remember the things I learned about following up with people immediately. If you're excited. On the cab ride to the airport, I sent Bill Reddy an email saying, great meeting you. Can't wait to work with you. I hope we can turn what we discussed into a reality. And then I remember emailing the founder of Braintree, Brian Johnson, saying, it was awesome meeting you. I think we could build some incredible things together. Let's do it. We were going all in. And 2 weeks later, boom, we made it on my birthday, July 22nd. I remember signing the paperwork. All of us, we signed the paperwork. I guess I was the point. We signed, to accept the offer from Braintree to buy us.
And how much was that for you?
That was like 26.7 million or something. Yeah, something like that. And it's on Google, and signed that paperwork. And Bill Reddy trusted us so much that they wired us the following week's payroll because we ran out of money. Before the deal even went through, before they did all the diligence, and boom, and then overnight, that was it. Venmo had life again. It was like
he breathed life back into
Braintree saved Venmo's life. It's like we went into the emergency room, they put the heart resuscitators on us, bam, 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 and shocked us back to life. And from that day forward, I remember, because now we don't have to worry about, do we have funding? Are we going to have to let go of our employees? Everything. Payroll got moved over to Braintree. Braintree honored their word. They said, look, you can keep doing what you're doing. We're not going to come in and we're not going to bother you at all. We think there's a lot you can learn from how we do things, and we think that we have a lot to learn from how you do things, so there's a good synergy there. And I'll tell you what, Bill Reddy kept his word to this day, I'll say, and I'm very grateful for that relationship. And that was it. From that day forward, the energy, you could feel it in the world. Friends are like, wow, Venmo is doing so well. This is amazing. And then, I think based on that energy, more people started to hear about it. The people that stopped using it years ago started to use it again.
Sure.
And then it
came
just
a lot of buzz on it.
It just picked up and ba-boom. 2 years ago, a year goes by, and now Venmo is becoming a threat to PayPal.
Sure.
Braintree is highly profitable, and the synergy of Venmo and Braintree is so good that PayPal had to buy us.
Yeah, they bought Braintree,
and
right?
They bought Braintree, boom.
Didn't they buy them for like 800 million or something like that?
Yeah, something big up there. And that was it. Bam. And then next thing you know, I'm on PayPal's team now. And
so
and I stuck around for a couple of years and I left.
So that was in the contract for you to stay for a couple of years?
Yeah, I didn't have any sort of earnouts. It was just, it was good salary. So I stuck around until I felt my time there was done, and I felt everything was in good hands. Like, honestly, it got to the point where you didn't even need me to show up to work anymore because like you got this. Like,
do you still own stock in Venmo?
No, I don't own any stock. Okay. Only bragging rights.
Okay. Were you able to walk away with a good amount that you were happy with?
Yeah, very, very happy with everything. So I mean, it wasn't about that though. It was more about.
Sure.
It's more about making something with a group of people. Like if you look at all the people that were there, we got to have a reunion at Square on Square or something.
Sure. I can't. I want
You
to
have
be
to
there.
come. You got to come to that. Yeah.
Listen, this your journey. It's funny because sometimes people don't even understand or respect their journey because it's their own. They lived it, so it's like they don't kind of understand how valuable or precious it was.
Right.
Did you ever regret selling Venmo for that price, or you
No,
just,
not one moment. No.
because you look at it like it could have been nothing, right? Meaning like it almost was. It
I
almost
mean,
was heading down.
You should get Bill ready to tell you the other side of the story. Everyone was telling him like, "Are you guys fucking out of your minds? This company is gonna bankrupt you." Like Venmo. For the fact that Bill was decisive enough against all odds to make that decision is even more of a case study of success to me.
Yeah. So we spoke about that when you sold. I asked you. I said, did you go out and buy anything outlandish? Did you go and have a crazy night? And you said to me that you were in the office.
Yeah.
And would you have a drum set?
We had a drum set. We had a music room in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just opened the doors to that music room, and I just sat on the drums and I played for the whole day straight. Just banging the drums and singing, and just anyone could come. And that was it. I was just ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom.
And that was like you're getting out. Go ahead.
But I got to give a shout out to Katie Simon, who was running our support team, or on the support team. And while all this was going on, I was like, Katie, come party. She's like, I can't party right now because if I party, our users are going to get pissed off. They have all these support needs. So she sacrificed her time partying with all of us to field support inquiries from Venmo users while we were all partying. I'll never forget that.
You said before that you want to hang out with every superstar in the world. Do you remember saying that?
I think everyone is a superstar. So yeah.
Who's some of the superstars that you've been?
Did I say
honored to?
When did I say that?
Hey, listen, I did some research.
Oh, superstar agenda or something like that?
No, saying that you want to hang out with every superstar in the world. Like I guess you wanted to rub shoulders with some of the biggest people.
No, that's not. No.
Okay, go ahead.
I view everyone as a superstar.
Okay.
Yeah, they just but I don't know where you read that. That's interesting because
who's some of the superstars that you've been honored to meet along this journey?
Man, I don't even remember now. Are there some? Do you know some that I don't know?
No, I'm
about?
saying is there people you come across that you've been, that you're like, wow, I'm sitting here with Billy Joel, or I'm sitting here with,
Not really. I mean, honestly, to me, the superstars in my life are the people I'm always around working with. It's just, I think I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by wonderful spirits throughout the process, and yeah, I don't recall those. I don't recall being next to anyone like that.
Yeah. Listen, being an entrepreneur, being a creative, being a musician, being a bunch of things. What gets you out of bed in the morning? Like what gets you out of bed? Like what really makes you motivated when you get out of bed? Like there's something that still strikes you, that still gives you that.
It's the people that I'm working with, or that I'm friends with. Really, I love going into the studio every single day because I know I'm going to see Mamadou, Randy, Matt, Leah, Clyde. It's just those are the people that are currently there, and it's like I know that we have this mutual dependence on each other to build something greater than what we are, and that's what motivates me.
So you started a new app. It's called ENSE, right?
Correct. Yeah.
ENSE.
Yeah.
For those listening on the internet, pull out your app store, or in Samsung, what's it called? Your Android.
Yeah. If you're on Android, go to alpha.nyc on your phone, on your browser, to get the beta.
If you're using an iPhone, just go in the App Store.
ENSE. Yeah.
ENSE. So what it is like kind of like an audio app, like an audio Twitter, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm on it, Premium Pete, and I tried it out and I messed around with it, and I started to get addicted to this audio. So what it is basically just audio in different friends, different users.
Yeah.
Explain to the internets who are listening what ENSE is.
Yeah, it's just a way for us to talk to each other publicly and privately using our voices and sound. And good example of how we used it is I love this. I love what you say. Tuesday blessings. Actually, let me play one of your ENSEs. The Monday blessings to me was beautiful because I woke up to that ENSE actually that you made. Let me find it here. Premium Pete.
Yeah. Premium Pete on ENSE. ENSE. Download that motherfucking app.
So here's one from Premium Pete that I loved.
Put it right to the mic.
Monday morning blessings, my man. It's been a crazy weekend. I was in Boston. I drove there, drove back, all doing a bunch of things. Anyway, I'm about to get the week started. I'm out here. Hope all's well with you.
Now look, to have received that from you. So what that was is that's Premium Pete's ENSE he made on Monday. It's, you just open it.
And I sent it to you.
You sent it to me, and it was public, so other people could hear it.
Sure.
Charlie Stevens, shout out to you, my brother.
Shout out to Charlie Stevens.
Shouts to Charlie Stevens. You just open it, you make a quick audio bite, and then others can hear it. And for me, what I love about it, what I really enjoy is hearing the tone of your voice. And I woke up, I heard that, and I got out of bed immediately because I was like, I got to get my day started.
Sure.
And I was like, I knew I was going to be on the show with you on Wednesday, so it's just we connect in a different way. It's not like if you had tweeted that at me, it would have felt different.
Sure.
And, you probably found it easier to just say that than typing.
No, I like it. I'm fucking around with it, and I like to see what it could become even more.
That's the question that I have, too. Like, what's it going to become, and who's going to, who's going to take a hold of it?
Sure. But why audio? Like, what made you create this audio app?
It started off because me and Mamadou were making music, and as part of our group, Iqram and the Immigrant Groove.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it.
That's our band name, Iqram and the Immigrant Groove. So that's how it started. We were making an album in my apartment, in our apartment, and all of a sudden we get to this point where like everything we record, when we're riffing, we want to be able to capture the sound.
Sure.
So initially we had a video camera always fixated on us, but it became too clunky to just manage a video camera at all times. We're using our phones. Sometimes you forget to turn it off, da-da-da-da-da. So eventually we made this little sound recorder that sat on your computer that was recording in 5-minute increments at all times on a loop. And anytime you hear something you like, you could ENSE it. You could press that button. You would take the sound, package it up, upload it to the cloud, and let you distribute it. You could share with your friends. So kind of like voice memos, but on steroids. And then I would invite my friends over once in a while. And ENSE would be running, and I'd just be like, yo, that was a funny conversation. Let me grab that. And I'd grab it, and I'd send it to them. And I found that they would listen to it. We would talk about it on group chat, like, yo, that was funny, da-da-da. And I was like, oh, hold on a second. There's not a really slick place to capture and share sound and voice and audio the way you can on Instagram, Twitter, with text or pictures. And I was like, what if we turned ENSE into a way for people to communicate through sound and casual audio? And now we're here today. It's like, I may be at a concert at the Apollo Theater. Bam, I can ENSE the band. People sing on ENSE. People sing. What's better, to have your friends sing you happy birthday or write happy birthday, man?
Sure.
And
so
it's just
more of a stronger feeling.
And I really think that where the world is headed is people will be using their voice far more frequently than they will be typing. Because it's easier. I made 3 ENSEs while I was walking down the street on my way here. One was to you to let you know I was going to be a little late, and then, I think we're going to connect in a different way using ENSE.
Are you challenged because you sold Venmo and you found some success? Are you challenged because they say you do one good thing, you got to do another? Do you feel any challenges to succeed again?
I just want to be a 2-hit wonder.
Okay. So one more?
I was telling my friend the other day, I feel like I'm reliving 27.
Okay.
27 for me was a time when I was just always on kind of thing. And I think I got one more in me. And I'm ENSE and Iqram and the Immigrant Groove. I'm working on 3 things right now. ENSE and Iqram and the Immigrant Groove is a band that we use ENSE to promote our
promote your brand.
Just promote our brand and
band.
And I'm working on a kind of a Broadway play.
Nice. What's that about?
It's called Surrender. You heard it here first. And the idea behind Surrender is for you to come have one evening with us where you go back to your primal roots, where we all came from, and then you leave 2 hours later feeling like, you were just born again. And I'm working on that with Maritza from Tajin, where I met Tajin, one of my favorite restaurants in New York City, is how I met you, actually, through Isaiah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. This world we live in, connecting with people is amazing. Listen, we spoke about money doesn't really drive you. We spoke about that you wanted to have the success, and you didn't grow up with all this money. You know what I mean? You grew up, living with your parents and your father trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
Having financial freedom now in this day and age, does that motivate you? Does,
Well,
has it changed your life? Like, has money
I've forgotten
changed
about
your...
it almost, but I will say that it's weird. I don't feel like I've accomplished in my life what I want to accomplish from an artistic perspective, and I have so much to do that money is one of the things I don't worry about at all, and I really never have, because I feel like somehow I was able to combine my interests with how I would make money. And if there was ever a point where I was making money doing something I didn't enjoy, I would quickly change. Now, and how I would do that is I would push myself. I worked hard. I still work hard. I'm always working, always, 24/7. There's sometimes a misconception to the amount of work it really takes to do what you love.
Sure.
So it's one thing to do what you love, but it's also important to realize how hard it is to do what you love.
Sure. And in this day and
And I'm
age,
sure you probably resonate with that.
Sure, no. In this day and age, I always say social media it shows you in Bermuda and on a hammock, and people are like, I want to do that, but not realize the days where you had to tell people that, look, you may have to find a new job because we're closing down. I mean, that had to be a low point.
Right.
As we go over that and as we wind this episode down, what is some of the biggest things, like lessons you learned, like that you take away from this journey so far? Like, is there something that really sticks out to you that really like you learned, or that taught you a lot?
I say this a lot. I mean, one kind of catchphrase that I use is "dream until it comes true," which is to say, like, continue to dream always about because that's one form of escape when life gets tough. Is how you dream, and so dream until it comes true. That I have a song about that, and I really believe in that. And number two is, you really, really got to work hard if you want to do what you love, because it's not easy. It's not easy to do what you love, but everyone wants it. Everyone wants it.
You kind of just did it there, but we'll do it a little more extended, because it's always great to spread love. It's the Brooklyn way, but it's really just a good way to do that for people. Somebody listening right now, a young investor, a young entrepreneur in the making, somebody who just, like you said, like feels like giving up, or somebody who wants to create, and what's some advice you would give them to get them through that?
I would say, think about the times everything was cool, and look back at that and see if you could turn that imagination into inspiration, because how you achieved that the moments when things were cool is what life is all about. And talk to a friend. Talk to a friend about ENSE Premium Pete. I'm serious about that. Like,
surround yourself with people.
Surround yourself with people you can talk to freely, because when you bottle something up, eventually it can expand and it can pop, and it can cause you unnecessary pain. And every time that I've bottled something up, I can't remember exact moments, but I do know bottling things up and sort of keeping things to yourself is preventing you from the freedom that you really, really want. And just think about those times when everything was cool, and maybe that can lift you out of a dull moment.
Do you I know we went over briefly, but do you have any influences that, people that you look up to in this tech world, in this world?
I mean, one of my favorite people that inspires me a lot is Stevie Wonder. He's I love him.
Icon.
He's just the greatest. And before Venmo launched, I went to his gala. I hugged him, actually.
Really? How'd you get the chance to meet him?
It was just one of those serendipitous moments.
Okay.
I was back there, and I've learned so much from him.
You got Stevie Wonder on the speed dial?
No, I wish. I gotta get him on ENSE. Actually, I think he would love ENSE because audio only for blind people.
Sure.
Stevie Wonder is someone that I think has accomplished what Bach accomplished in terms of musicianship and musicality and just influence and expression. I mean, I love Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace to both of them. A lot of the people I grew up with musically, my parents, everybody. I love everybody, really. I really do.
I love you, man.
I love you too.
This is a beautiful, spirited moment to love people. I like your spirit, man. I like that.
Thank you. Likewise. Yeah, for sure. It's.
I mean, we can sit here and complain, but
right.
But,
no.
But,
it's beautiful.
It's special. When we really look at it and we say to ourselves, are there groupies in the tech world? I mean, is it?
Are there groupies? I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe I feel like maybe. Does Zuckerberg have groupies? Maybe. I
mean, he probably did at one point.
Who's a tech person with groupies? Maybe the Foursquare founders back in the day. Do you know that thing?
Yeah, Foursquare, of course. The location.
The location thing. Twitter. I don't know.
Well, do you read any books?
I have read a very small number of books. I listen a lot. I listened to a lot of stories growing up. That's why one of the reasons I love ENSE. It's all audio.
Yeah. What's some of the books though?
But one of my favorite books is Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. It's very short, which is probably why I read it. But it's a beautiful book. I highly recommend that. It's one of the few books that I was able to sit through. What else? I read PayPal Wars before Venmo started. That played a role. It was an inspiration for sure. Recommended to me by my friend Jack Abrams. Thank you for that. I do remember after reading that book, I felt more courageous getting into the payments world. What else comes to mind? Siddhartha is my favorite book, if I had to pick one. Now, I'm sure there are others that I haven't read that are great, but my friends talk about things, and I really rely on my friends to tell me about what's going on.
So you're living in New York City. Is there, and you lived in Philly, and you lived in Zimbabwe, and you lived in where else?
Zambia. Yeah, those are my three main spots.
Where else? I mean, I'm sure you traveled the world.
I've been to Sri Lanka a few times, Amsterdam, some spots, but I never lived there. I only lived in America and Virginia, Philadelphia, New York City, and Zimbabwe, Zambia, Uganda.
What's your favorite place that you visited?
My home is Zimbabwe, no question.
Yeah.
And my second mom is there, Anya, from the Shona tribe. She's amazing. I haven't seen her in a long time, but she sends me a birthday card every year, and I got to go back and hug her and talk to her. I think we would be happy to see each other. Zimbabwe is by far my home.
The journey has just begun, Iqram. To be honest with you, it's inspiring, your journey. There's a lot of people that I sit down with, and a lot of people's journeys are inspiring. And these people don't even realize it sometimes, because I always tell them it's their own life. It's their own living.
Right.
They don't take the time to be like, I mean, I'm sure you probably say, fuck, that was some ride. But
I'm going to say that tonight.
Yeah, but
no, I mean, not like that. I'm saying after my night out I'm going to this bar. Boys don't cry. They accept Bitcoin. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you invest in Bitcoin?
Did I invest in Bitcoin? I got a couple. I didn't invest in it, but I play. I love it. I think it's pure. I think Bitcoin is cool.
You think it has a life? It's going to last for a while?
Yeah, I think so. I think it will.
and any other investments that you believe in, like things that
Restaurant. I got a restaurant down the street.
Oh, that's right.
Called
you do have a
Cut the
restaurant.
House.
in
Sri Lankan food.
New York City, right?
Yeah, if you want to check that out, we can all go there.
Where is that located?
It's on 250 Broome Street, New York City.
Internet. If you're from New York City, go check it out. If you're not, add it to your list when you come into town.
Yeah.
Listen, man. I want people to go check out ENSE. If you're on iOS, just go to the App Store, put in ENSE. It's like I don't want to say it's an audio Twitter, but that's what it reminds me the most.
Just follow me and Pete and your friends, and let's talk.
Check it out. Let me know what you think. Where are you? I know you're on Instagram. You don't use it much, but
Iqram M.I. I am on Instagram. Yeah. IQRAM. I have one post.
One post. Do you like Instagram?
No, you know what? I'm not a huge Instagram guy because I'm not into pictures as much. Videos, pictures. I don't like to be seen. I don't know.
Are you shy?
I didn't grow up with a mirror. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
I never heard anyone say that before. So you never worried about breaking it and having 7 years of bad luck?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't even know that. I've never heard someone say that before.
Why didn't you grow up with a mirror?
I mean,
I know it's not something that somebody tried to like. You got to grow up with a mirror, but like, wait, there was no mirrors in your bathroom?
No, I don't remember the mirror, man. It's just, yeah. So this whole selfie and all that sort of stuff, and that it's not. I'm not inspired to do that. I don't know why. I get why a lot of people do it, but yeah.
You know, the last thing is when I went to go come and see you, and we sat down and had great conversation.
Great. We had a great conversation.
You pulled out, I asked you what some of your goals are, and you pulled out this little fucking brown book. And you said something like, "These are my life goals," and you wrote down on them. Can you let the people know what it said on there?
All right, I'll let okay. This is the first. It said 3 things. Was it with check boxes next to each thing? The first was tech, and I checked it off because I felt like I was inspired to make this checklist after I saw another tech person share their checklist on Facebook. So I checked off tech, meaning I would say Venmo contributed to my tech ambitions or aspirations, and then ENSE also contributes to that, but also ENSE contributes to, I would say, my next goal, which will probably take a long time to accomplish, which is an EGOT, which is unchecked.
And what is that for people listening who may not know?
An EGOT is an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and a Tony.
Okay, and you don't have any of them yet.
I have none of them.
Fuck, you got a big task.
I got a lot of work to do.
So keep working.
If I accomplish it, will you have me back on the show?
Of course.
Okay, great.
Of course.
We can. Yeah. So I got it. And then the last one is the last checkbox is research. So after the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, if all God willing, then I would love to do research on and try and help the world with its problems.
You're a good man, and your journey, like I said, is special. Internet's again.
You too. You're a great man. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Listen, I want you to check out ENSE, ENSE. Check it out on the iOS App Store. And if you have an Android, what do they do?
Go to alpha.nyc.
And check that out. And listen, like I said, just you know what? We don't take enough time to spread love.
Spread the love.
Your contributions, honestly, have probably inspired not only many companies, but people. And I think that, honestly, it's what you leave behind. Some people want to do shit, just to look good. You left behind a lot of things, creations, and these are things that you probably didn't even plan out to do. You were just trying to figure shit out.
That's true.
It's inspiring. Internets, listen, if you use Venmo, man, thank this man.
Well, if you use Venmo, thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to be here. So
there you go. Internet's Iqram, not only just a co-founder of Venmo, not only just a founder of ENSE, ENSE, okay, but an entrepreneur, a great mind, and a great heart. See you next episode. Peace out, Iqram.
Thank you.
Internets, if you enjoyed that episode, I want you to email me at thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com. Again, that's email is thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com. Let me know what you thought. And listen, all my advertisers out there, all my big businesses, my small businesses, whoever, a friend, a store, you want to advertise on The Premium Pete Show? Email me at thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com and let's get working. Okay? Make sure you subscribe, rate, leave a comment on all streaming platforms of the podcast. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and we'll see you next episode. Cheer.